So welcome Team 10 to our first official Power Hour. I'm really excited to do these calls. We're going to start doing them monthly, and we're going to be inviting some super incredible guests on here to get you guys motivated, educated, give you your kick in the pants. Every week's going to be, or every month's going to be a little bit different. And this week, I'm really excited about our guest. Does anyone want to show me with your hands how excited you are to hear from our guest tonight? Do you know who it is? Love the jazz hands. Yes, our guest tonight is incredible. And I'm super excited about this call because, as some of you know, I've always been an athlete, so sports nutrition is very dear to my heart, and it's something that I searched for for most of my life until I found Isagenix. It's completely changed my life, and when I meet people like our guest tonight, it just makes my cells vibrate because they are so full of knowledge about sports nutrition that it gets me really excited. The like sweaty palms excited, right? Because I love diving into science. Does anybody love like the science and hearing about how Isagenix works? Right? So exciting. And it just builds our belief. So tonight's call is really about helping you understand the why behind the Isagenix products in general, but specifically for athletes in our sports nutrition. So if you're even just listening to this call to get more information because you're not really sure if you're in the right place, you're going to get some great information from our guest tonight just to help you understand the why Isagenix and the truth about Isagenix. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. He's an incredible man. He's the founder of the Biondich Performance Science. He designs custom high-performance nutrition programs, guys. So this is the guy that I wish I had when I was training in gymnastics to become an Olympian. Where were you? And he's incredible in designing nutrition programs for elite and professional athletes, right? He's worked with so many incredible athletes, including the UFC, the MLS, the MLB, the CFL, NHL. Those are a lot of letters, but they're really cool. And also with the Canadian national teams, which is what I was on, and I wish I knew you back in 1992, Paul. He's also a lecturer on high-performance nutrition and also consults with professional athletes and their trainers. And I know we've got some trainers on the call tonight, so I know you guys are super excited to hear from him. So can we just give Dr. Paul Biondich a big, warm welcome, please? Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Jen. Want to really thank everybody for being on the call tonight, and hope everybody has fun today.
Oh, we're going to have fun. We always have fun. So first of all, Paul, I'd love for you to just share with everybody, like, how did you end up here? How are you introduced to Isagenix in the beginning? And was there any skepticism? And how did you overcome that, if there was?
Yeah, massive skepticism. So I'll take it a step back. I studied nutrition. So before Isagenix, I was studying nutrition globally. So I was looking at what were the nutritional companies in Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Germany, because my athletes came from everywhere and actually traveled everywhere. So if I wanted to put the best nutrition program in the world, then I really had to get a handle on, what is the world's best nutrition? So, nutrition goes beyond North America, right? It's a lot bigger than that. So I started studying companies, outside of North America. And so I compiled basically a global list of products and nutritional companies, and to the point where I had 500 protein bars in my computer, ranging from macros to micros to ingredients, whatever you wanted to know, what metrics you wanted to know on the protein bar. So somebody asked me, Paul, what's the best protein bar in the world? I could ask that answer that question from a factual perspective and not an opinion perspective or just pull it out of my head. So when a colleague of mine, Dr. Michelle Staten-Dickey, introduced Isagenix to me, I was really not interested whatsoever because I take seminars trying to learn from the top guys, read all the books, etc. And Isagenix really never came across my desk. So, it's like how could this company have any value if I study nutrition globally and I've never heard of this company before? You know what I mean? Like there had to have been people talking, but at least within my circles, at least within the high performance seminars that I've attended, because colleagues talk and we say, hey, what are you using? What do you like? What you don't like? The Isagenix never came across my desk. So that was the first red flag, that I was really not interested. But because Renata and I trusted Michelle quite a bit, and anything she's ever suggested to us was really bang on, I really owed it to her to take a look at the product. And, so I picked up the Isoline Pro and looked at the ingredient list, and I was prepared, to find about 13 things that I didn't like in 6.2 seconds. And it didn't happen, which was really strange, because when I looked at the very first ingredient, it was, grass-fed whey protein concentrate. And this was very peculiar, because this is considered the best protein in the world. Grass-fed whey protein concentrate. And we all know isolate is a great protein, but it's not considered the best. And that's for another conversation. But so that's the first thing that struck me odd, was why is this network marketing company, which I knew nothing about, why are they putting the best protein in the world in their products? And because I very, very rarely found this great a protein in any product, which that led me to kind of look closer into the other ingredients. Then I see 70 trace minerals into the Isoline and Isopro protein powders. Prior to Isagenix, I was doing trace mineral deficiency or supplementation with my athletes, because trace minerals are the biochemical spark plugs of almost every reaction in the body. So a lot of fatigue and deficiency was coming from trace mineral deficiencies in my athletes. So if you plug trace minerals back into an athlete, boom, you get this energy or robustness coming back. And so I'm reading the ingredient list and I see 70 trace minerals inside. I'm going, okay, this is interesting. And then, of course, I see MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil in the protein shakes, which I use for my athletes and, for power endurance. It really, what it does is it spares muscle glycogen, so it allows you to train harder, longer without using up your own energy stores. Healthy fats. We have, and what's not in the product, no soy-based proteins, no artificial flavors or sweeteners. When I see a protein company or product that has artificial sweeteners, I instantly throw them out. I discount the company and everybody associated with them. And there's a lot of high-performance companies or companies that call themselves sport nutrition high-performance companies and are using artificial sweeteners. This is just, it's pure laziness. But as a functionality, what artificial sweeteners are really doing is they're destroying your normal flora, your good bacteria. And we know you need your good bacteria for microabsorption of nutrients. We know your good bacteria do a whole host of things, including the production of serotonin. Serotonin is that happy center, neurotransmitter, which is not made in the brain, by the way. Only 20% of it is made in the brain. 80% of it is made in the gut, in the intestines. So you need a healthy gut, and you need good bacteria, normal flora to be alive and well. So when you see, people approach me all the time and say, Paul, I'm using this Supermax 16,000, from whatever store I got. And I'm looking at the ingredients. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't feed this to my cat. Like, honestly, get it out of my face, if I can be blunt. So, it's a very strict criteria to call yourself, in my books anyways, to call yourself high-performance nutrition. Because if a world champion comes into my office and says to me, Paul, I need to win the world title, I need to re-sign a multi-million-dollar contract, I need to, improve my performance by 2-3% or whatever it is, you have to split hairs on things. Because I'm going to tell you something honestly, if you get into this world of working with high-end athletes, it's a double-edged sword. Right? Because you can really, really easily make them worse. I've done it. I know. And it's very difficult to make them better. So you have to be very critical of what you're giving, the quality of what you're giving, when you're giving it, to move that metric forward. And I mean, that's just, as an aside on the whey protein. If you look at their vegan protein, if somebody asked me, Paul, what's the best vegan protein shake in the world? I can honestly tell you it's Isagenix. It's not a company statement. It's an actual factual statement. And they did something really brilliant. And it's the first company in the world to ever do this. And we know that the really quality, the whole point of a protein powder, okay, is really to create repair, recovery, and growth. And the metric that is really that controls that is our branched chain amino acids, our naturally occurring branched chain amino acids, our leucine, isoleucine, valine, are the live proteins, LIV. Okay, and I mean that's why grass-fed whey is considered the best in the world, because it has the highest naturally occurring branched chain amino acids, and that's really why vegan proteins have not had a good rap. And people said, listen, you can't produce the maximum repair, recovery, growth using vegan protein. And that's that's true, right? And often if a vegan came into my office and wanted for me to put a program together, I would say no, because I would ask the question, are you a vegan under philosophical reasons, or are you a vegan for health? Like, is there some sort of medical reason? If it was philosophical, I would just say, then, I'm not interested, because philosophically, you're not interested in becoming the best as you can be. And in my opinion, it's very difficult to do that being a vegan. Now, having said that, there's exceptions to every rule. And what Isagenix has done today is they've looked at the branched chain amino acid composition of whey protein, and they created a combination of vegan proteins to match it. So this is the first time this has ever happened. This is the first time that a company has matched the branched chain amino acid profile in a vegan shake to the whey protein shake. Okay, so that is the answer. If somebody's asking you, what is the best vegan protein shake and why? It's not about sprouted granola, whatever these guys market. It drives me nuts. Okay, it's about the protein. Protein shake is about the protein. It's not about anything else. It's about the protein. Awesome. And so when you're going to buy a protein, you're going to buy the best protein in the world for the maximum repair, recovery, and growth. It's that simple. It's not complicated. And there's two options to do that. One is our whey protein, grass-fed New Zealand whey protein concentrate. And since I'm on this topic, the difference, let me get this straight for a second. Whey protein concentrate and isolate, they're both fantastic proteins, okay? Either way you go, they're both fantastic. But the difference is this. Concentrate has 10% lower protein than isolate. So it's kind of strange. It's like, well, why is concentrate better if it actually has 10% lower protein by content? And conversely, isolate has 10% higher protein, okay? But the difference is isolate by nature, it's isolating or stripping everything else out of the protein. And what's remaining in the concentrate is really fat. And what's in the fat is immunoglobulins. It's immune system producing properties, upregulation immune system. And if you've worked with athletes or talked to high performance sport nutritionists at the US Olympic level and otherwise, they'll tell you that upregulation of immune system is very important, because the harder you train, immune system starts going down-regulated. And to keep an athlete, to keep them training full pop without overtraining them, keep your immune system up and going is very difficult. So when you're going to compare two proteins, one has immune system boosting properties with 10% lower protein. One has 10% higher protein but no immune system properties. The option is an easy one. Okay, and it's so simple because you just give more of the whey protein concentrate to equal out whatever protein you need. So it's a moot point. Okay, but I just want to say that both are excellent proteins. I'm not bashing an isolate, but that's the question I get asked all the time. Having said that, I want to go back to one more point and there's many points that blew me away in Isagenix. About 17 years ago, I was in Chicago because I went to school there. And I heard this word, adaptogens. And like a kind of obsessive compulsive squirrel, I started to study, what is this thing, adaptogens? Where do they come from? What's the story behind these guys? And this name, Dr. Benta Debachnik, kept coming up. And he was the former strength conditioning coach of the Soviet Union. So in '88, after the Olympics, he defected, came to the US, and he actually brought this secret Russian formula of adaptogens with him, because the Soviets or the Russians were really the ones that pioneered adaptogens, 60 plus years, Dr. Breckman, of research, and they didn't share it with the world. Okay, so if you type in PubMed and start doing research on adaptogens, not a lot is going to come up, because North America really didn't touch upon this subject, and it's still really North America is still early adopters in adaptogenic research. Okay, but 18 years ago, Ben and I got on the phone, and he sent me, fortunate for me, 200 pages of Russian research converted to English. So I thought I hit, for me, this was like Christmas, okay? I was a kid in a candy store, going crazy, playing with all these, adaptogenic herbs, testing on myself and whatever. And over the years, I thought I was always, like a leading edge, cutting edge guy, kind of breaking the ground and going to new territory. And now I'm having this conversation, fast forward 17, 18 years, I'm having this conversation with Jim Coover, which we know is, one of the major owners and principals of Isagenix. And I'm telling this story about meeting or speaking with Ben sending me all this information. And Jim goes to me, "Oh, Ben and I are friends. Ben and I worked together 18 years ago on that company called PrimeQuest, which was what Dr. Ben Tabachik was trying to commercialize, that formulation." So, here we go. I'm thinking that, I'm ahead of the curve. I'm some sports nutritionist, blah, 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 which is, just a dream. And Isagenix is showing another reason why they're way ahead of the curve and leading the pack in not just in sports nutrition, but in high performance nutrition, period. Intermittent fasting, guys, intermittent fasting is like the latest rage, right? In the last year or so, year and a half, everybody's talking about intermittent fasting. You got to do this. It regulates blood sugars, cholesterol, body composition change. Isagenix has been doing intermittent fasting for 10 years. 10 years. When now it's just being accepted as this cool thing to do. They've been doing it for 10 years. So again, I've stopped really to the point where I've stopped questioning them, and I've just started to try to find out why are they doing it, because I know they're ahead and above everyone else. It's just trying to catch up to them, and that's partly because of who's formulating the product, right? We got John Anderson, the best formulator in the world. He's formulated 2,300 products for 600 companies. I mean, the guy's the friggin' formulator for Ferrari. It's like you want to start a car company, right? And you want to start your own car company, right? Who's your engineer? Who are you going to ask for? You're going to ask for the best engineer in the world. You're going to go to Ferrari and say, "Come with me, let's start a car company." That's what Isagenix is. Every single component of it is a Ferrari. I call it the Ferrari of nutrition. And what I say to everybody is that there's no such thing as a sports nutritionist. That title's gone. It's finished. It's over. Okay? Because what happens is in 2 days, you get this brown box, it's delivered to your door, and every component that took me 18, 20 years to friggin' learn, okay, is in that brown box. And now everybody has equal ability to do to have high performance sports nutrition changes, improvements in their athletes. It's equal footing. So congratulations, everybody in this call. You've just been anointed high performance sport nutritionist.
Oh, you're amazing. So to tie a little bow on that amazingness that you just threw at us, the reason you love Isagenix is the quality of the protein, that it includes adaptogens. They're cutting edge because they're already following intermittent fasting, and it's easy to follow nutrition for dummies, basically. If you were to wrap it all up, would you say that?
That's my favorite part. That's what I need to work for me.
I know for me as an athlete, I always struggled. I never knew what to do because you hear about all these different things to try and different things to do. And in the end, I hardly did anything. I think I trained for the Olympics on Mr. Noodle because it's just so complicated. And so you're right. I love that the brown box can arrive and you get everything you need. All the guesswork is done. The science is done. The proof is there. The research is now there. And if somebody like you, who with all of your background, is like, hey, this is the Godfather, right? I think that says a lot for us to trust. And the fact that you trust our company and you trust our formulators and that you have stopped doing your homework. Because I found a lot of people come on board, and myself included, being a healthcare practitioner, one of the things that I spent 2 years doing was researching the products and researching the ingredients to make sure that I was choosing the right thing that I was going to recommend to my clients. So just to hear someone like you say you stopped looking into it because you have full, complete trust in the integrity of our company, that says a lot. What about you personally, Paul? Have you had results with the products yourself? And would I be able to share a photo of you?
Well, of course you could, but now you're going to embarrass me. But so I'll set this out. I'll set this one up. So I got 3 young kids, running 2 practices, whatever. Renata, my wife, Renata, she's going crazy, right? Because life was stressful, to say the least, and I was not following anything I was doing. I was good at recommending things, putting programs together, but it's classic, right? So mechanic has the worst car, shoemaker has the worst shoes, right? I was that guy, right? So I was ballooning up. It was insane. And one day Renata grabbed me and said, Paul, you got to stop, right? People look at you and they go, who is this joker? And then you start talking, and then, okay, you sound like you know what you're talking about, but the two have to connect. You got to at least look like, a little bit that you know what you sound about. So you got to get back in shape. And so, she was right as usual. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. ISA Body Challenge was coming up, and guys, if you ever want to blow up your business, get everybody enrolled in the ISA Body Challenge. That's the easiest way to do it. As a side note, quickly, the stats are very interesting. Okay, if you enroll a person, enroll a person on 30-day whatever, 12 months from now, 25% of those people that you enroll are going to still be in your business. Okay, but if you enroll them in the ISA Body Challenge from the beginning, 90% is going to be in your business 12 months from now. That is massive. Okay, so just by default, enroll everybody in ISA Body Challenge, and you'll see your business explode. Okay, so having said that, I entered into the ISA Body Challenge, and at that time they had a category called Energy and Performance, and so it was a 20-week challenge instead of 16. But I hate cardio. I can't stand cardio. I played competitive soccer and hockey. I can play those sports all day long. But please don't talk to me about a treadmill or a bike. I'm not going on that thing. Okay, forget it. Right. But I knew that the nutrition quality was amazing. I knew the intermittent fasting was really, really powerful. I knew the science behind it. And I said, you know what? I bet that if I train really hard, weight training, resistive training, old school training, okay, lifting iron, and I know if I knew that I can do this body composition change with zero cardio, no cardio, 20 weeks, heavy lifting. At the time I did 3 days a week, 45 minutes, but I trained really hard. And then, I dropped 32 pounds, I can't remember what my starting body fat percentage is, but it was bad. Went down to 9%, and I won the ISA Body Challenge, for the category. But that's how powerful the system is. Thank you. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah.
So now that we know that you won and you had an incredible, I'm going to show if I can find it. Ba-da-da. Hang on, wait for it. Oh, hang on. Can you guys see that? There you are. Amazing results. I hope you guys can see that. Can you see that, Paul?
I don't see it, but that's okay. I've looked at it enough.
I hope that you guys can see that. Share. Yeah, incredible results. And not just for you, but Renata as well, your wife, your beautiful, amazing wife, who I love. Please give her my love. Yeah, and I think that's also testament that you're now a product of the product, and you've put the products in your body, and you've gone from your head to your heart, right? Now you know that it works in your head, and it's also worked for yourself and for your family. What would you say about children and kids using Isagenix and little, like, young athletes?
I think this is a very important part. It's becoming dear to my heart. And in fact, I'm moving away from working with pro athletes and moving towards working with young athletes, kids. I think that's where the biggest need is. Plus, the pro athletes are a pain in the butt. You know, they're just constantly demanding. It's ridiculous. So it's nice to be, you know, have good people around you. Not that the pros can't, but you know what I mean. But here, guys, on a serious note, okay, here's the problem. What I'm finding is that kids today are training just like professional athletes, okay? Hockey, soccer, football, swimming, gymnastics, whatever it is, okay? Most coaches are absolutely nuts. They have no idea what they're doing, okay? They're overtraining their kids. Kids are going 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, you know. Parents are struggling because they don't know what to do, you know. They're following the dream, following the kid, following the coach. But simply what's happening is it's really easy, okay? Here's their training, okay? And here's their nutritional demand. It's not matching, okay? This is not happening, okay? Here's your training demand. You have to match the nutritional demand. It's really simple, okay? The two are not equating. So if you match the nutritional demand or the training demand with nutrition, now you start getting positive results, you know. And so, I mean, I have 3 kids, 6, 8, and 10. My oldest son, Philip, plays for the Major League Soccer Toronto FC Academy. So I'm basically implementing everything that I know with my pros with him. And I'm using, you know, majority of the Isagenix system with him. You know, isoline bars, the hydrate. Obviously, we're doing the protein shakes. And he's basically excelling, you know what I mean? Because, you know, he's getting the recovery, repair, and growth after training. And it's quick, it's convenient, it's easy. The bars are portable. And it's a no-brainer, really, you know. And what happens really is as the performance speaks on the field, okay? Because ironically, guys, I actually don't talk nutrition. I don't like to talk nutrition, okay? Because what happens is nutrition becomes a religious discussion. Okay, you guys ever find that? Do you ever find when you talk to, you know, nutrition to people, it becomes like a religious debate? You know, everybody's arguing about their own point, what they believe in.
Yeah.
Guys, nutrition is not a belief system. Just to let you know, there's a wrong and there's a right. It's simple, okay? You know, and most conversations are wrong. That's the problem. And so we can agree to disagree. Whatever your religious beliefs are, it's fine. You know, we respect them and we move on. But nutrition is not like that. So I don't actually get into nutritional conversations with my clients. I get into results. If you want, and this is the way I recommend for you guys to do it too, okay, is go results based. Isagenix can change your athlete's results. It can change your energy levels. It can change your performance times. It can change your strength. It can change your recovery. Don't worry about, you know, the conversation of what's in it, the micro reading of the ingredient list. It's ridiculous, okay? Because most of the people that you've talked to or talking to you or complaining about the ingredients, what have they formulated? Ask them that question. Sorry. You're questioning the ingredient list of this product, but what have you formulated? You know, Renata says, my wife says this all the time. I bet the best you've done is a muffin, right? and now you're questioning the ingredients list in this product? Get out of here. You know, like, come on, we have to be real at some point, okay? So if you lead with results based, hey, I want to change your I want to change your strength. I want to change your speed. I want to change your power, whatever it is. Here's how you do it. That's a more effective way. And I find that since I've been doing that, it's received more positively. And that's what people want. People really don't care what's inside. For some of the people who do, I mean, we got isagenixhealth.net. That's the resource. I just send them there. You know, I pretend dumb and I say, hey, you know, just go to isagenixhealth.net, type in there's a nice little search bar, type in whey protein or soy-based proteins, whatever you want, you get all the information you need. But to go back to your original question, Jen, yeah, I mean, Isagenix for kids is phenomenal. And once parents and coaches see the changes in the kids, in their performance, you know, results speak for themselves, and people start, you know, asking, how do I get it and where do I get it?
Awesome. Awesome. I'm going to say it again. I wish I had Isagenix when I was training for the Olympics and training for tries. Came a little too late. But on that note, this is a perfect segue. Now that we have some published research on performance, can you speak to us a little bit about what those results really mean? How can we use those results? Because you know, that's a way of maybe showing people that it works. What's your opinion on the research studies that are out now that we can show people?
Yeah, I mean, so the research studies that they did recently basically showed that, I'm just going to read them quickly because I just jotted them down. They increased muscular power, strength, aerobic performance, and flexibility. I mean, you know, those aren't just little parameters you just throw off, but I mean, those are big metrics. But more importantly, what I found really interesting in the research articles is what they did was they rolled the dice on this. Okay, is they took trained athletes to do this to do their study. That is very, very rare, because I read research articles for a living. Okay, and most companies, if you wanna change a metric on someone, what you do is you take untrained athletes. Because for you know, you can give an untrained athlete virtually anything and they'll improve their performance, okay? But you take a trained athlete and give them a nutritional protocol to change their performance, it's very difficult. To move that metric it takes a lot more. So for me, when I read the study and I saw that they use trained athletes, it's first of all, number one, is rare. I don't see that. And number two, it's impressive that they can do that. And essentially what they did in the study was one study used the Isagenix system, and they did about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That translates almost to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're a 150-pound athlete, you're going to take just under 150, let's say 140 grams of protein per day in divided doses. And the other group was doing half of that, essentially. So the results were pretty significant. And I mean, we would assume that that's what it would have done. But it's nice to have, and it's impressive to have the research backing it, that it'll increase muscular performance, it'll increase endurance, it'll increase strength, to have that strength. I mean, we see it anecdotally all the time, but it's nice to see that Isagenix put the research behind it.
Mm-hmm. And people do like to see the research. There are some people, and I think this can be an easy talking point, like you're saying, don't get into the ingredients, don't get into the nutrition talk. Go here, isagenixhealth.com or .net, it's all there. Isagenixhealth.net, right? So you're saying it's a great place to send people to use that research to really show them that it works, that results, lead with the results.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome, Paul. What would you say, this is sort of my last question, and then there's a couple of questions in the chat box here I'd love to throw at you, if that's okay. But what would you say to athletes, specifically endurance athletes, or somebody who's really dependent on lean muscle mass, who's afraid or is shying away from nutritional cleansing? Like how do you have that conversation, and do you modify the program for somebody who wants to implement cleansing, but they have a really strict training program?
So yes, I modify it, but to answer your question about cleansing, I think cleansing, you know, falls into the category of what we talked about earlier called intermittent fasting, because really that's what it is, right? I mean, what an intermittent fast is, your calories, you're having a healthy diet, okay, healthy nutrition, and you're trugging along through the week, and then you drop your calories by about 80%. 75, 80% for 24 hours, okay? That's technically called an intermittent fast, and that's what our cleanse day qualifies for. Now, you can do a 48-hour cleanse or intermittent fast, but anything exceeding 48 hours in a row will actually start to catabolize or break down lean muscle. So we know that what the research says is that within the first 24-hour, we have a spike in growth hormone release and an even bigger spike in the next 48-hour release. So that's helping to protect your lean body mass. So you're losing very, very little, negligible amount of lean body mass in the first 24 and 48-hour cleanse part of it. But what is happening, obviously, is we're getting a detoxification process. And in the back half of the 48-hour cleanse, we're having significantly fat loss. And this is very important because now we're talking about power to weight ratio, right? An athlete wants to be as strong as possible and as light as possible. Power to weight ratio is like, guys, this is gold, okay? You can make the guy lighter and friggin' stronger, you're going to blow him out of the water. So this is a very powerful tool, and it's so easy to do. It's ridiculous. Now, beyond that, what intermittent fast does, okay, it increases your anabolic signal to carbohydrates, okay? In English, really what it does is it makes you stronger. Because once you come off of the intermittent fast, your body is highly, highly sensitized to carbohydrates. Your insulin sensitivity goes up. So this is a very powerful tool. Intermittent fasting is one of the ways to do it. Also, what we realize is that an intermittent fast or the cleanse program in Isagenix is a liver cleanse or support system. Okay, it's not an intestinal cleanse, and the liver is considered the powerhouse of the body. So if your liver is working with more efficiency and more robustness, if that's a word, what we're realizing is that our liver produces creatine. Ooh. I did not know that. Okay, I always thought that creatine you had to get from foods and you have to, ingest from supplementation, right? Because creatine, we know it's one of the biggest studied supplements in the history of sports nutrition. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Our liver produces its own creatine if it's functioning properly. Okay, so what happens often is people come off a cleanse day or intermittent fast day, and they find that boom, their energy comes up, their power comes up. Well, part of that reason is because the liver is manufacturing its kicking start to create its own creatine. Another reason why intermittent fasting and cleansing is so important is because our liver metabolizes estrogens. It's very, very important for body composition and strength, okay? Because North America is what's called estrogen dominant, okay? We are bombarded by estrogens from, our plastic water bottles to phthalates in the air. Guys, if you have any those fragrance plugins in your house, throw them in the garbage right now. They're completely toxic, okay? They're releasing phthalates, which are estrogen mimicking. Unless you want to intentionally feminize yourself and your kids in the house, then please plug them in every room, and you'll do a good job at doing that. But if you don't, anything with a synthetic fragrance is producing phthalates. So, we've got an estrogen exposure in North America that we can't get around of. So our liver is the organ that metabolizes and breaks down those estrogens. And why I'm harping on this is because estrogen and testosterone are inversely related. In other words, if estrogen is high, guess what's low? Testosterone. Okay, so if we want to increase our, and ladies, this is for you too. Don't think I'm talking to the men right now, okay? Because there's a book called there's a bunch of books, okay, on the benefits of testosterone for women. There's an author called Harvard-trained medical doctor Susan Rako, R-A-K-O. She wrote the book called The Hormone of Desire. And it was all about the benefits of testosterone for women, from menopausal symptoms to fat loss to libido, obviously, energy, all the fun stuff. So it's very important for women to have healthy testosterone levels as well, because it's not a male hormone. Testosterone is just supposed to be higher in males, but today I'm not so sure about that anymore. But, so our liver has to be functioning properly to process those excessive estrogens, keep our testosterones healthy for both men and women to get that positive body composition change that we're looking for. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm saying this Isagenix system is so brilliant. I don't know how these guys knew this for all these years, but somehow they did. They put it together, and we are the recipients of it, and so are your athletes and people who've enrolled, family, friends, and everybody. It's pretty amazing stuff.
It's amazing. I didn't actually know that about the liver creating creatine. So really important information there, because one of the questions, actually, it's perfect. This is the perfect segue into one of the questions about creatine, Paul. So if intermittent fasting is supporting the liver to generate more creatine, which explains why after my first 30-day cleanse, I had my personal best time in the pool without 5 months of training. There's my answer. Some of our amped line products, the sports performance products, include creatine. Can you talk a little bit about the difference? There are different kinds of creatine and different kinds of products that you can get off the shelf and versus Isagenix. What's different with Isagenix and creatine?
Well, the last time I checked, there are 10 different types of creatine on the market. 10. And there's only one at the end of the day that's been proven to work. And I've been on the seminar with the world's leading researcher in creatine, and again he says the same thing. At the end of the day, there's a lot of companies out there making slick, interesting, marketing, whatever they're doing, but at the end of the day, creatine monohydrate, German grade, is the one that still produces the results. Can there be another version coming out that's better or as good? Yeah, listen, things change, and there's scientists that are smart, and they may come up with something. So, as of today and as of now, creatine monohydrate is still the best researched, safest creatine on the market, and that's the one we use, and that's the one the majority of the Olympic athletes use. So, in our amped power, that's the product that has the creatine. We know it's a precursor to ATP production in the mitochondria. So, not to get into the whole creatine story, but as we know, it produces, more power. So, and there's nitrosogene in that AMP power, which is a patented L-arginine, which basically allows the L-arginine to sustain higher levels in the blood plasma for about 3 hours. So really, what AMP power becomes, although it's a pre-workout, it starts as a pre-workout, okay. And I really recommend this product for newbies, not for elite athletes, for newbies, guys just starting out, because when you're just starting out in an exercise program, you want that increased circulation, you want that increased power to make your workout, palatable to get through it. But again, what starts as a pre-workout ends up being a post-workout recovery. Because amped power, the nitrosogene stays elevated, the L-arginine increased circulation stays elevated for 3 hours. If you're training less than 3 hours, then that increase in circulation aids in obviously delivery of nutrients and clearance of waste product out, and then it becomes delivery of whey protein, branched chain amino acids for repair, recovery, and growth. So and for the cost, which is a very low cost item, it really should be kind of, I would say, a mandatory product for everybody who's training.
Awesome. And we have our whole amped line, and I know you've done other calls where you specifically talk about the amped products, so we won't dive into all of them on this call. And I've actually posted one for you guys in our group in Optimal Health, so if you want to hear more about the amped line of products from Paul himself, you can go there and listen to that call. Final question is about professional athletes, Paul. Like, what about NSF certified products? Are these products safe for athletes who are tested? and how do we recommend them without that fear factor?
Yeah, I mean, as of today's January 30th, 2017, whoever's listening to this call, we only have one product that's NSF certified. However, there's been, a few of us, including myself, pushing Isagenix from for a while now to get their entire line certified. And what's coming down the pipe very, very, very soon is, I don't know if the entire line, but a very large majority of the line, obviously all the AMP line, the proteins, the big stuff that we use, is going to be Informed for Sports certified. So what that means is that, we're going to be able to obviously introduce it to the 500,000 NCAA athletes that are in the United States, obviously all the professional level athletes, the 7 million high school athletes who are in a lot of cases requesting Informed for Sports certification. And what that really tells us is that it guarantees that the products contain no banned substances, so nothing that's giving you a positive test in Olympics, NCAA, and any UFC, NHL, NBA, doesn't matter, any drug-tested professional sports. And one more very important thing that Informed for Sport does is it's third-party validated. And what it does, it actually guarantees that whatever is on the labels in the product. And that's very important, because what I'm finding in the industry is this industry of sports nutrition, or just nutritional supplementation, is not, in my opinion, not an honest industry. And I'm going to say that as a majority. And nobody take me to task at that, but that's my opinion. And so when you have a third-party validation such as Informed for Sport or NSF certification, besides saying that it's clean and there's no banned substances, you're also saying that if it says 24 grams of protein, guess what? It's not 19 grams of protein and the rest some protein mimicking agent, which a lot of companies do, but it's actually 24 grams of protein. So that's very important. It's going to be a huge, huge support and selling point for associates. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Fantastic. I've got to say, I'm just so excited that I'm in the right place at the right time with the right products and amazing human beings like yourself. When I first got started in Isagenix, it was meeting people like you that I can trust, and meeting people like John Anderson, the mineral man, that I just stopped doing the research and just fully trusted. This call has been remarkable. It's jam-packed, full of juiciness. So, Paul, thank you so much for your time with us. I know there's a bunch of us in the call here right now that I would love, just as we close out the call, for everyone to show their appreciation. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you again, and thank you for just making yourself available. I've used you on calls with so many elite athletes, and they've thanked me 100 times over for getting some time with you and the results they get after speaking to you. So thank you so much for just being available, for saying yes to Isagenix, and for really helping us all know that we are in the right place, recommending the right food for our athletes and our families, and hopefully, making that difference in world health. And you're a part of that, so thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks for having me on this call, and thanks to you guys for spending your time with me. Have fun out there, and go results oriented, and you're going to have a blast. So thanks for spending the time.
Do you have any final advice for anyone who may be an athlete or speaking to athletes? What would be your one juicy piece of information, if somebody's listening to this call who's just getting started and they're not really sure? Is there one piece of information you can send us off with?
Loaded question.
It was a bit. Let's, again, with the last piece, if there's somebody that we're talking to who's a bit on the fence, not really sure they want to get started, or if there's someone on this call who's humming and hawing, what would you recommend for them to take the plunge and actually give this a try?
I'll leave you with this. Okay, it's a story, and it's a true story. currently I work with the UFC heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic. He's got a fight coming up against Junior Dos Santos May 13th. So I've been working with him for 4 years, almost 5 now. And I've been in the UFC for, I don't know, 12, 14 years, working with different athletes. When I sat down with Stipe, his manager, and his coach, I drove from Toronto to Cleveland and sat down with them and presented the we have a Cleveland fan there. presented the program. I didn't talk about grass-fed whey. I didn't talk about intermittent fasting. I didn't talk about adaptogens. I didn't say really anything. I said, here's the program. Here's how you use it. Try it for a week. If it's not the best thing you've ever tried, we got nothing to talk about. And I drove home. Is there anything else to talk about? It's not. It's, guys, it's that's how you proposition it. Because this is a results-oriented company. We're about producing changes in an athlete, changes in a person, energy levels, performance, speed, strength, whatever it is. That's what it's going to do. And if you make that change, and when you make that change, then it's over. And, you know, that's what I lead with, because I know it's going to work consistently every time. And you have to find out what that your person needs. Don't try to sell them what you want. Find out what they need. Is it more energy? Is speed? Is it power? And once you find out what that is, then match it with, if we have that system to, you know, to offer to them. And then, and you've done your job. And that's, you know, in my opinion, that's the way I lead with it. Yeah.
Love it. Especially with athletes, because we're so in tune to our bodies. A week is enough to be able to tell a difference. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, Paul. That is beautiful, beautiful information. I'm just so excited to talk to more and more people who are trainers, athletes, coaches. And I'm so excited that we're expanding around the world. These products are going to the UK, hopefully one day. We have a lot of work to do to really change a lot of bodies and a lot of athletes. And it's super exciting. So thank you for coming again and sharing your knowledge and your amazingness with us. All right. If anybody wants to unmute their line and just yell Paul your appreciation or what you love about him, or give him some love, I encourage you to do that as we close at the call. Thank you so much, Paul. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Fired up.
Thanks, Dr. Paul.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. You rock, man.
Cleveland,
So much value. Thank you.
for giving us the champion.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Good night.
Thanks, Paul.